Hello, my name's Kent from Meridian West, and today I'm going to be talking about how to create a client journey map for your professional firm. Client journey mapping has really taken off in the last 2 years, particularly in professional services. It's been used for many years in financial services and retail, but we've had a number of our clients who want to develop a client journey map for their own client base. And the reason for this is pretty clear, is increasingly firms can't compete on the quality and the technical quality of their advice, they're competing on service. And they realise they're delivering a very inconsistent service, and people get very different service from specific individuals. So to try and address that, they're looking at client journey mapping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a five-step process for developing client journey map. So the first step is to imagine a typical client and create an empathy map. And the empathy map describes that client. You know, what's their background, what's their job role, what's their personal life like, and then what's their hopes and fears of working with professional advisors. Really get into their mind. Then the second step is then to map out the main stages of the client journey. And the key thing here is to focus on it from the client's perspective, not your firm. So their journey starts, in many cases, way before they start interacting with your particular firm. So let's take Joe, who might be looking to sell his business. His journey starts with a decision to sell. He'll then start investigating different websites to find advisors. He'll then probably have a selection process. So just map out each of those different stages. Once you've done that, you then want to zero in on what we call the touch points. In other words, the specific interaction Joe has with your firm. And think not just about the actual kind of formal interaction with advisors or letters of advice. Think about, do they go to a seminar, views at a website, the documents they get, for example, the onboarding documentation, the letters of engagement. Once you've done that, then you start focusing on the emotions of Joe. How's he thinking and feeling? What are the high points and the areas of anxiety from his perspective? This is often neglected by professional firms. They think about buying professional advice as very much a kind of cold, logical thing. But actually, for many clients, it's a moment of either high anxiety, nervousness, these are high stakes, or actually really quite a kind of pleasant, kind of exhilarating experience as they're learning new things and achieving their life goals. Once you've done that, you can see where the low points are, and that moves you on to step 5, is looking for opportunities to improve the service. And it's useful to think of it in 2 ways. First of all, brilliant basics. In other words, what's the things you've got to get right, the minimum service standards. So that might be functional things around letters of engagement, returning calls, the clarity of advice. But also think about where you can make your service really stand out. So providing those magic moments that will make you different from the firm down the road. And so that's very simply how you develop a client journey map. And it's quite a flexible approach. So we've worked with firms that have done it at a specific kind of service line, for example, with a pensions law firm on a particular type of transaction. We've also worked with a global accountancy firm that has developed a client journey map for the whole firm around the world and for all the different services, and we mapped out 6 different stages. So it's a very flexible tool. So those are the stages, how do you get the insight to make this a kind of credible representation of the client journey? There's 3 techniques. Your first technique is to start with an internal workshop to get your own staff's view of what they think the client journey looks like, and to try and hypothesize what they think the client's thinking and feeling each stage. Once you've got that as your template, if you like, your blueprint, then you want to have some really in-depth interviews with clients. Ideally clients who've just been through the process and it's fresh in their mind. Either do that as one-on-one interviews, ideally face-to-face, or do it as a focus group where you get a nice, interesting kind of creative dynamic. If you're a large firm with a diverse client base, we highly recommend doing a much larger number of interviews and quantitative research. That enables you to understand how different client segments might have different client journeys, and it's incredibly powerful. We worked with one professional firm and we identified 6 client types who had very different expectations, and we were able to work with them to develop 6 client journeys so we could respond to the very different needs. So that's just a simple overview of a client journey map. In terms of the return on investment on that, it can be very significant. So, by having a consistent service, you can target the right sort of clients, and you can make sure they're not dropping off the journey, so you improve client retention. Because you're meeting their expectations, they're more likely to buy from you. And McKinsey have done some really interesting research that showed the ROI on this. They demonstrate if you have exceptional client service, you have an uplift of 26% in gross margin. So it really makes kind of good sense from the client's perspective, but also from your firm's perspective. If you're interested in client journey mapping, there's a lot more detail on our website, which is meridianwest.co.uk, and we've got a how-to guide on client journey mapping. We've also got a case study. So thanks very much for watching.